Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to the honorable panel that will be evaluating my thesis for today. So my topic is the determinants of social media marketing, the consumer's point of view. So my name is Aiman Azharuddin. I am in my bachelor's honors degree in international business, and my session for today's this semester is September 2021. So this will be the presentation outline in order, which is the introduction, the literature review, the methodology, the analysis, and then the discussion, which is the conclusion. Now, the background of the study is for instance, marketing has always moved with technology changes, and for example, from television commercials to online banners or social media advertising, the introduction of personal computers and the internet as well, and the e-commerce have had a tremendous impact on how social media businesses operate in their market. So the introduction of social media technology is accelerating, and we can expect it to have a similar impact on businesses now and into the future as well. As new technologies become available, businesses may learn to use these new technologies gained from technology-driven companies, such as gain great benefits. But some of the best-known companies include such as technology-driven companies such as Microsoft, eBay, Amazon, Google, etc. And now social media marketing as well is the hottest new marketing concept. And every business owner wants to know how social media operates, can generate value for their businesses, in which social media became much quicker with the arrival of the internet and the globalization as well that accompanied with it. And this gave a rise to innovative information communication technology channels, which is WhatsApp, social media, or Web 2.0, in which social media has become an indispensable part of life in the modern era, especially among young consumers, which is teenagers and adolescents, which is known as Generation Z. And social media-based advertising as well differs from traditional channels, which is television, commercials, and online banners. And it does not simply offer marketers a new way to talk to consumers, in which it allows creating a space for one's brand for consumers to can easily access, in which they can interact with the consumers as well, and enables firms to, of course, monitor consumers' conversation, attitudes, and much more towards one's brand. And in Malaysia as well, social media penetration is 64%, which is considered one of the highest in Asia Pacific region, second only to Singapore. And marketers view the social media landscape in Malaysia as a vibrant, with most of the Malaysian population turning to social media platforms, where consumers use social media to find information about their products with the best prices as well. And in general, consumers have different orientations when making purchase decisions, which is consumers are either brand conscious, who view brands as symbols of status and prestige, or value conscious, who use social media to check and compare the prices of different brands to get the best value for their money. And now, the problem statement, in which for this research, the study is conducted to create a realization towards the type of businesses in the modern era in the use of social media marketing, implementation, and its importance in identifying consumer purchasing behavior. So for instance, this includes creating a realization for big companies, SMEs, retailing businesses, etc. So there are still businesses that would use traditional marketing instead of social media marketing. Thus, this paper intends to create an awareness of the significant importance of implementing social media for marketing strategies in the present time. So although social media marketing provides new opportunities and benefits for firms, research has shown that many social media marketing initiatives implemented by small and medium enterprises tend to be unsuccessful. Several studies have examined as well the problems in adopting social media marketing, such as of a lack of well-defined strategy, the problems in dealing with technology, a lack of understanding of the opportunities provided by social media platforms, and how social media can be used. And another example as well is that the retail industry has undergone a huge revolution in the past few years. So the emergence of new digital channels such as social media has changed the dynamics of retailing environment, and almost all businesses are using social media to promote their products and services. So in this case, and as a platform for all electronic commerce activities as well. However, in the contemporary fast-paced online retailing environment, it has become difficult to capture shoppers' intention and break through the marketing clutter to influence their online purchasing behavior. So various issues are also involved in online retailing, particularly through social media, among which trust is one of the most important areas of investigation. And social media mediated marketing environments, marketers are facing a challenging issue of consumers' trust in them due to the absence of face-to-face communication. So the problem with this group as well of social media is that the vast majority of individuals who use social media, basically specifically for news or product or business reviews, has the capacity or power to positively or negatively influence a business reputation and their profits as well. And of course, for the research question, which is there are 5 research questions that we want to evaluate, which is, does the interactivity element of social media marketing have an effect on consumer purchasing behavior, which is the same for personalization, entertainment, trendiness, and word of mouth, which is the 5 variables that will be explained further in the presentation. This as well is the research objectives, which is to evaluate how social media marketing interactivity element affect consumer purchasing behavior, same as goes to the personalization, entertainment, trendiness, and word of mouth variable that will be explained further. Of course, because of this research objectives, we want to evaluate how these social media marketing elements may affect consumer purchasing behavior, which is more we are targeted to the young consumers or young generations for this study. And this is basically the literature review, in which, as you can see, this is the theoretical framework, which is because it has been created by the researcher myself, which is 5 variables that will be affecting the consumer purchasing behavior, which is based on the theoretical framework given above. The independent variable consists of interactivity, personalization, informativeness, trendiness, and word of mouth. So consumer purchasing behavior is seen as a dependent variable or effects of the research conducted. So all of these 5 elements will be affecting consumer purchasing behavior, which is these 5 elements are social media marketing elements. Now, for the hypothesis, there is a positive relationship between interactivity and consumer purchasing behavior, which is interactive social media brand pages encourages a communication between brands and consumers as well, influencing the generation of positive perceptions towards a brand. So providing a link to the official brand website, along with encouraging or sharing and dissemination of brand-related information amongst consumers, can enhance interactivity. So marketers may also encourage consumers' participation, including the submission of their stories, their posting of comments, and subscribing to the brand page as well. So these engagement activities among consumers are important in strengthening interactions between consumers and the brands as well, and improving consumers' cognitive understanding of the product attributes and brand benefits. Now, for the second is that positive relationship between personalization and consumer purchasing behavior, in which when a brand offers customized or personalized services according to consumers' preferences, this can have a positive impact on the perceived benefits of the brand, or along with enhancing their affection towards the brand. So, summing up, personalized social media marketing can influence the building of cognitive experience and affection in consumers' minds, driving activation, as well, such that consumers are more willing to consider the local brand as their primary choice in their decision, in their focal brand as their primary choice in their decision-making process. As well as there is also a positive relationship between entertainment and consumer purchasing behavior, in which brand communications with entertaining elements perceived as fun and playful as well. So it encourages consumers to exert great cognitive effort to understand more about the brand as well. So indeed, or basically, entertaining social media marketing elements, content can provide fun and interesting information to consumers, arguably strengthening their affection for the brand. So for example, the literature indicates that brand pages with games, for instance, or with contests, with giveaways, animations, pictures, and dynamic videos are perceived as fun and exciting and flashy as well, creating an excitement and fulfilling consumers' needs for aesthetic enjoyment and emotional release, such that consumers are encouraged to consume the brand-related content as well. Now, for the fourth is that there is a positive relationship between trendiness and consumer purchasing behavior, which is consumers feel motivated to consume trendy information about brands on social media platforms in order to keeping up with the latest developments about brands and with knowledge about relative trends as well. So brand trendiness may contribute to a perception of the brand leading as a brand, or motivating consumers to search for the latest information on the brand pages. That's contribute to building a positive brand social media marketing and brand building experience in consumers' minds and also particularly trendiness discussion topics as well, and the latest product news are available on the trends on the brand's Facebook page, for instance. So that's strengthening consumers' cognitive presence in brand-related interactions and assisting in developing positive brand perceptions. And finally, there is a positive relationship between word of mouth and consumer purchasing behavior, which is the advancement of social media has increased the number of consumers who evaluate brands and product based on word of mouth or electric word of mouth. So given the perceived trustworthiness of social media platforms as well, the creation of sharing of word of mouth basically amongst consumers builds up a sense of closeness and emotional relationship between the brands and their consumers as well. So basically, this hence the availability of word of mouth on social media marketing. A platform and use it assists in creating positive brand experiences and favorable emotions for the brand, thus strengthening the consumer purchasing behavior with loyalty for a certain brand as well, and strengthening the consumer brand relationship. Now we will be diving into the research methodology part, which is this is the target population. So according to Statista.com, as the first quarter of 2020, the population of people in Selangor stood at about 6.57 million. And during 2021, the number of populations in Selangor is not stated. Yet the number is expected to increase. Selangor is Malaysia's most populous state, as well as the state with the largest economy in terms of gross domestic product, and the population chosen to evaluate in the Selangor area, specifically with young adults or students in management and science university, Shah Alam, for 375 participants. Now, the reason this population is chosen in the study is because the correlation with the main title is aimed to evaluate on consumers' point of view on the scores, factors, and effects of social media marketing for them or for businesses. So the participants of the study as well are not in congestion to put their names in the survey due to maximize response rates in the survey. Now the sampling size. We're going to the sampling size, which is the ever-increasing need for representative statistical sample in empirical research has created the demand for an effective method of determining sample size. So basically, to address the existing gap as well, Tracy and Morgan in 1970 came up with a table for determining sample size for a given information, a given population for easy reference. So estimating of sample size in research using Tracy and Morgan is commonly employed method. So based on this, if the population in MSU is 16,000, so basically the required sample size should be 375 students that will be evaluated. So this is the reason why the number of only 365 students are evaluated in this research. Now, the sampling technique as well, the method of collecting data is through the usage of structured interview method, in which as a particular set of data questions prepared in advance for the participant to answer, and questions as well as close-ended questions. So basically, close-ended questions are often used to describe a person's attributes, beliefs, and attitudes as well. So advantages include close-ended questions about attitudes and behaviors are simpler to answer. Now, the design is implementing a Likert scale method as well for acquiring and obtaining the answers from the participants in MSU. Now, a Likert scale is a psychometric scale that has multiple categories from which respondents choose to indicate their opinions and their attitudes and feelings about a particular issue as well. So the survey will be divided into two sections, which is section A and section B. And for section A is demographic profiles, and section B will be for the variables. So this questionnaire as well has a 5 Likert scale, which is 1 being strongly disagree, 2 being disagree, 3 being neutral, 4 being agree, and 5 being strongly agree. The researcher also implements non-probability with convergence sampling in this field of study as well. So non-probability sampling is any sampling method where some elements of the population have no chance of selection. So as well, or where the probability of selection can be accurately determined. So it involves the selection of elements based on assumption regarding the population of interest, which forms the criteria for selection. Hence, because of the selection of implements in non-probability in a non-random, so non-probability sampling does not allow the estimation of sampling errors. And convenience sampling as well is selecting participants because they are often readily and easily available. So basically, typically, convenience sampling tends to be a more favored sampling technique among students. And it is inexpensive and as an easy option as well compared to other sampling techniques. So as well often helps to overcome many of the limitations associated with research. For example, using friends or family as part of the sample is easier than targeting unknown individuals. That is for an example. So this is basically the summing up the sample items. So we can see that there's 6 variables, including the dependent variable. So number of items for each question. Interactivity has 4, personalization has 3, entertainment has 4, trendiness has 3, word of mouth has 4, and consumer purchase behavior has the highest, which is 5. And all the top of scale is uses an interval scale, which is a Likert scale, and from various different sources as well, from Zhang Lu towards Constanza bin Dinci, Srinivasan, Mai Langchung, Yadav and Rahman, and Huang as well. And the sample items are dimensions of social media marketing activities, from interactivity to word of mouth. But for consumer purchasing behavior, consumer attitude towards online purchasing. So this will be the summing up of the more to the elaboration, or more to the understanding of how the variables are collected or are used or seen by the respondents. Now we'll be going towards the data analysis, which is the responses profile, which is, you can see here, there are two there are two different responses profile that we evaluate as well, which is gender and age. So the gender, male has a higher percentage than female, which is 56% than 44%, which is to clear out as well. There is no bias in this. There's no bias in this study, in which I have shared the questions towards very generally in WhatsApp and in Instagram, using all social media. So basically, male, they have answered more than females. So there's no bias in this relationship. I have not given more males question, etc. And then for the age as well, it has shown that 21 until 23 years old has the highest percentage and frequency for this study, in which their age answered the most questions, and the second highest became 19 until 20 years old, which is more of which is the younger generation, the younger age in this study. And the second is the 24 until the 26 years old, and lastly is the 27 until 33 years old, which is the lowest, which is with 4.3%. So 49.3%, 27.3%, 90%, and 4.3% are the percentages in order that is evaluated in this study. Now, the education level in which you can see is that in the degree section, it consists of 49.0%, which is the highest in this study, and the second highest is the diploma with 33.3%. The third highest is basically the masters, which is with 14.3%. And then the fourth highest is the 2.0% with foundation, and others, which is of course pursuing other education level in MSU with 1.3%. Now, ethnicity, Malays are seen as the highest with percentage of 64.7%, and Indian and Chinese, they have a very similar number, close to each other, but then the Indians answered more, which is 17.3%, and then the third, not really far below, which is 17% with Chinese, and others, which is more to foreigners and other ethnicities with difference than Malay, Chinese, and Indian, only consists of 1%, which is only 3 people answered. Now we'll be going to the descriptive analysis. We'll be going to this descriptive analysis. So based on the table given, the mean that will be studied first will be the dependent variable, which is the consumer purchasing behavior. So the mean that has been required in the study is 4.33, which is that the researcher can deduce surely that the university students in MSU have a strong perception of consumer purchasing behavior. So this allows that the responses for male and female university students have really agreed about the perception of consumer purchasing behavior in determinants of social media marketing. And next, the 5 independent variables will be explained in terms of the mean of the study as well. So the mean of the first variable, which is interactivity, is 4.36. Thus, the researcher can also deduce surely that university students in MSU have a strong perception of interactivity affecting consumer purchasing behavior, which means that the respondents for both gender university students have roughly agreed on the perception of use of interactivity for consumer purchasing behavior and its relevance to the study. And after that, the mean for the next independent variable, which is personalization, is 4.39. So therefore, the researcher can deduce actually that university students in MSU have a strong perception of personalization and its relevance towards consumer purchasing behavior in determinants of social media marketing as well. And this puts a meaning that the respondents for male and female university students in MSU shall have a roughly agree on the relevance and connectivity between personalization and consumer purchasing behavior. And you can also see that the next variables, which is entertainment, consists of 4.39. The next and then trendiness consists of 4.40, and word of mouth consists of 4.36. Thus, the researcher can also deduce assuredly that the university students in MSU have a strong perception on entertainment, trendiness, and word of mouth element in consumer purchasing behavior. So this surely puts in meaning that respondents for male and female university students in MSU Shah Alam have roughly agree on the perception of these. All of these elements as well, and it is relevant towards purchasing behavior. You can also see the standard deviation, the mean and max consists of very similar or different numbers to each other. So basically, standard deviation consists for interactivity 0.39, personalization 0.45, 0.39 again for entertainment, 0.43 for trendiness, word of mouth consists of 0.44 and 44, and consumer purchasing behavior consists of 0.43. Now, next will be the reliability analysis, in which interactivity, there are 4 sets of questions are used in the item to measure interactivity element and based on this alpha value depicted from the table. So it has shown that there is a poor strength of association in reliability, 0.58, 0.58 for this independent variable element in which gathered amongst the MSU participants of students. And personalization, there are 3 sets of question items that are used in the study to measure personalization element, and based on this for value depicted from the table, it has shown that there is a moderate strength of association in reliability, which is 0.64 for this independent variable element in gathered amongst the UC students in Shah Alam. So for entertainment as well, there are 4 set of question items used in the study to measure the element, and based on the alpha value depicted from the table, has shown that there is a moderate strength of association in reliability, which is 0.60 for this independent variable in gathered amongst the university students. For trendiness, there are 3 set of questions used in this study to measure the element, in which based on this value depicted from the table, there is a moderate strength of association as well in reliability, which is 0.65 for this independent variable element amongst the university students. And of course, the word of mouth, there are 4 set of questions used in the study to measure the word of mouth element as well. So based on the alpha value depicted from the table, it's shown that there is a good strength of association in reliability, 0.76, 0.73 for this independent variable. And then lastly, which is the highest. And lastly, for consumer purchasing behavior, there are 4 set of question items used in the study to measure the consumer purchasing behavior. And based on this element, it has shown that there is a moderate strength of association in reliability, 0.66 for consumer purchasing behavior. Next will be the correlation table, which is first and foremost, the interactivity element has a slightly significant relationship with consumer purchasing behavior, which is interactivity has a slightly moderate relationship in which both independent and dependent variables will be related in the same direction when the influence of interactivity increases. So the consumer purchasing behavior will also increase by 27.7%, or a ratio of 0.277 of consumer purchasing behavior being affected by the interactivity element. On the other hand, as well, personalization has a slightly significant relationship with consumer purchasing behavior. So this element has a slightly moderate relationship with consumer purchasing behavior, in which both independent and dependent variables related in the same direction as well. And when when the influence of personalization increases, consumer purchasing behavior will also increase by 33.5%. And then besides the entertainment variable has a slightly significant relationship with consumer purchasing behavior, this element has slightly moderate relationship with consumer purchasing behavior, in which both variables are related in the same direction as well. And when the entertainment element increases, intention to use digital marketing will also increase by 27.5%. And then next, trendiness as well has a slightly significant relationship with consumer purchasing behavior, in which the social influence has a slight which is this element has a slightly moderate relationship with consumer purchasing behavior, in which both variables are really related in the same direction as well. And when trendiness element increases, consumer purchasing behavior will also increase by 34.0%, or a ratio of 0.340 of consumer purchasing behavior. And finally, the word of mouth has a slightly significant relationship with consumer purchasing behavior, in which both variables are related in the same direction as well. And when the word of mouth element increases, consumer purchasing behavior will also increase by 27.9%, or a ratio of 0.279 of consumer purchasing behavior being affected by the element. Hence, this part of the research has proven that it is the gender element has a higher effect, or more important compared to the other variables as well. Now, lastly, for the regression analysis, the significance value in in this table, which shows that whether the independent variables are significant or towards the independent variable. If the significant value is less than 0.001 variable based on the table given, the study can conclude that interactivity element with a result of value p, which is p equals to 0.000, which is the p is lesser than 0.001. Same goes with the personalization, entertainment, trendiness, word of mouth values as well, indicating that all the independent variables show a significant effect on consumer purchasing behavior. And for standardized coefficient beta as well, it shows that the measure each independent variable has on the dependent variable, while to interpret the t value such as indication for strongest or no significance predictor, 37.7 of consumer purchasing behavior can be enhanced or percent upon interactivity element amongst the students in MSU Shala. Now, the results showed a strong linear relationship between consumer purchasing behavior and interactivity as well, which is the coefficient for interactivity was 0.277. So the 7.7 to 27.7% of the variations in can be explained by a model containing only the CB according to threshold recommendations by Cohen as well. Hence, the 33.5% of consumer purchasing behavior can be developed by ensuring the personalization plays an important aspect in determinants of social media marketing and creating a digital strategy with the element as well. And the results showed a strong linear relationship between consumer purchasing behavior and personalization. So the coefficient for personalization is 0.335. So the CB increases by 0.335 for each personalization. So the ratio squared value was 0.112 as well. So 11.2% of the variation in personalization. And so moreover as well for the determinant element, 27.5% that this independent variable affecting the dependent variable as well, consumer purchasing behavior in coefficient data as well. So the results show a strong linear relationship between consumer purchasing behavior, in which the coefficient for entertainment was 0.25, 0.275. So the consumer purchasing behavior increases by 0.275. So for each entertainment, so the ratio squared value was 0.076. So of course 0.076 increases in the variation as well in entertainment. And furthermore, by 0.340% of the consumer purchasing behavior is the further strengthened through the element of trendiness as well. So this also shows that coefficient for the t value was 0. For the TR value, which is 0.340. So the consumer purchasing behavior increases by 0.340 for each trendiness as well. And the ratio squared value was 0.116. So 11.6 variation of the can be explained by model containing only consumer purchasing behavior according to the threshold recommendations by Cohen. And finally, by 0.279% of the consumer purchasing behavior is further strengthened through the element of word of mouth. And the results show that a strong linear relationship between consumer purchasing behavior and word of mouth. So the coefficient for the word of mouth was 0.279. So it increases for consumer purchasing behavior 0.279 for each word of mouth. So the value also for the ratio square as well is 0.078. So 7.8% of the variation in word of mouth can be explained by model by containing only consumer purchasing behavior according to the threshold recommendations by Cohen as well. And this also shows that the t statistic value on the 5 independent variables used in this study, all of them have values higher than 1.96. So first independent variable has a statistic value of 4.98. Personalization has 6.14. Entertainment has 4.94. Trendiness has 6.25, and word of mouth has 5.02. Now we'll be going straight to the discuss, which is the findings. So first, interactivity has an relationship with consumer purchasing behavior in students purchasing purposes. So it has shown that interactivity has a positive correlation of 0.277 towards consumer purchasing behavior, which indicates that the higher interactivity, the higher motivation in consumer purchasing behavior as well. And then the second hypothesis has shown that personalization has a significant relationship with the consumer purchasing behavior in students' purchasing purposes as well. And it has also shown that personalization has a positive correlation of 0.335 towards consumer purchasing behavior, which indicates that the higher personalization, the higher motivation in consumer purchasing behavior. Also indicates that it has a slightly moderate relationship with consumer purchasing behavior, which is because of the obtain of p-value of 0.000, which means there is a significant relationship between them as well. The third hypothesis will be entertainment has significant relationship because of purchasing behavior in students' purchasing purposes, in which it has shown that entertainment has positive correlation as well of 0.25 towards consumer purchasing behavior, which indicates that the higher entertainment or the higher motivation in consumer purchasing behavior, which indicates that the entertainment value has a slightly moderate relationship with consumer purchasing behavior as well, because of the obtained p-value as well. Now, the final two will be the trendiness and significant relationship with consumer purchasing behavior in students' purchasing purposes as well, in which it has shown that trendiness has a positive correlation of 0.340 towards consumer purchasing behavior, which indicates that the higher trendiness, the higher motivation in consumer purchasing behavior, and indicates as well that the trendiness element has a slightly moderate relationship with consumer purchasing behavior. And the researcher also has obtained a p-value of 0.000, which means there is significant relationship between the both variables as well. And lastly, the word of mouth has a relationship with consumer purchasing behavior in students' purchasing purposes, and it has shown that word of mouth has a positive correlation of 0.279 towards consumer purchasing behavior, which indicates that the higher word of mouth, the higher motivation in consumer purchasing behavior. So this indicates that the word of mouth element as well has a slightly moderate relationship with consumer purchasing behavior, and the researcher also obtained a p-value of 0.000. And lastly will be the conclusion, which is the present research is the first to decisively investigate the impact of social media elements on constituent behavior as well. Although the existing research has enriched the cognizance of the effect of the human computer interface on consumer purchasing behavior, but social media marketing has not been examined in depth. So they present this research addresses this research issue. And second, the study develops a theoretical framework to examine the importance of social media market elements, confirming that all the variables, which is interactivity, personalization, entertainment, trendiness, and word of mouth, has significant relationship in motivating the consumer purchasing behavior. And these 5 activities as well capture key attributes of social media marketing, thus further eradicate this phenomenon. And the opinion of us that the current framework of social media marketing would be beneficial for evaluating social media marketing's effectiveness for understanding consumer purchasing behavior amongst younger generations. Now that is all from me. My name is Ahmad Azruddin. Thank you very much.